since Spacies.
Welcome, listeners, to another Arcade Attack podcast. I'm Dylan. I'll be your host for the evening, morning, afternoon, whatever. I'm here with Adrian.
Hey, I'm always here, mate. Part of the furniture.
Well, I'm not with Adrian. You are, but you're in quarantine, aren't you? You're in quarantine over in your house, dear.
I am. I was a bad boy because I went to Spain actually. So when I returned, I had to be. Well, I'm currently in quarantine for 2 weeks. So there you go. I'm a rebel.
How many days gone?
This is about the fourth day.
Oh,
so
God.
I keep looking out my window, and I think there's Boris Johnson in the bushes with his binoculars going, is he leaving his house? Don't worry, Boris.
It's all right. He's getting ready to fine you as soon as you leave the house. So just don't leave the house. Anyway. And we've got Rob. Nah, no Rob. We've got Keith. No Keith. We need some guys to come help us, don't we, with this podcast today? I feel like there needs to be more people in the room. Why don't we?
There might be some people just next door. I think
so.
Next door?
Yeah.
Or shall we go the other side of the world? Maybe.
Well, maybe we have to go pretty far. But let's go pretty far. How about why don't we get Todd on the line, aka Top Loader? How's it going, Todd?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Is this thing
dude.
on?
Dude, this is
Can
not
you
the
hear
phone
me?
company. This is not the phone company. This is Arcade Attack calling. Arcade Attack calling.
Sorry. I was a bit upside down there because I'm on the other side of the world. I wasn't sure if you could hear me from this far away. I'm here though, mate. I'm here.
Mate, you're coming in crystal clear. You're coming in crystal clear. How you doing today? How's your day been?
That's great, mate. Today's a Sunday. The sun was shining. The birds are chirping. I'm here. I'm here with you guys. Long time never see, but now you finally get to meet me, and I finally get to meet you guys.
Dude, we
So
actually, I
speak
know.
away from Australia.
Rather than listening to each other on separate occasions, we're actually like bringing it together today. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's pretty good.
It's a little bit different for something different.
Yeah, something a bit different, isn't it?
And our listeners don't know, Dylan, but Todd's wearing a rather fetching cap right now.
I don't think it ever leaves his head, does it? That Pikachu hat?
You sort of super glued it on.
This hat comes off at night, all right?
Oh, it comes off at night.
The missus doesn't approve, okay?
The missus. Oh, we know who wears the trousers there, mister. Oh, yeah. All right.
Yep, Pikachu off, Bulbasaur on.
Bulbasaur.
That's the secret.
Yeah, she's more of a
That's the
Bulbasaur girl.
secret.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so there's three of us. That's not bad. That's not bad, is it? I think we need a couple
I think
more.
We could get a couple more, maybe.
Well, a couple
Yeah.
more. How about Todd's buddy, Tim, over in Melbourne there? How's it going, Sega Master Tim?
What are you trying to sell me?
This is your... You need
Every international strange call I get, it's... do you want to save money on this?
You need more. Yeah, there's some British guy trying to sell you more data. You need more data on your phone contract, buddy. Yeah.
I need things I don't need. Yeah, I'm going good.
Thanks for joining us,
yes.
mate. Thanks for joining us. How's your day been?
Great. Thanks for inviting me. Oh, well, living the life in Melbourne, living the dream.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
Rocking
stage
COVID
4.
lockdown. It's all gone a bit mad in Victoria, hasn't it? Aren't they just shutting down everything again?
Yeah, everything. Well, things weren't fully shut down before, but they are now. Have been for the past week, and we've still got a hell of a lot more weeks to go. But it's okay. I'm out on the outside of Melbourne, so I've got space around me. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Good on you.
playing games. And
Thanks for joining, buddy. So there's four of us. Ugh. I feel like we need one more person. What do you think, Adrian? One more person?
Yeah. Let's see if Rob's still available. Or,
Rob-
even better than Rob,
Rob sends his apologies, obviously. By the way, I think him and Toppers would have had a bit of an. I think we should do maybe like an Ask Rob thing on another time and get Toppers involved and just let them at it. So we'll do that a second.
Sounds like a great idea.
I bet you bloody love that. I bet you would bloody love that, wouldn't you? Why don't we get Brian from Since Spacies in directly from the hospital? Here he is.
It almost seems that way. I've been itching to get a word in all that time. The build-up is just killing me.
Dude, this
So
is
there
why
you
I'm
go.
the MC. This is why I'm the
there you
MC. I ramp it up.
Two ex-Sega staff members, or Sega.
Sega.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing that all these years later, for those who don't know, me and Tim used to work with each other on the Sega hotline. And for more than 20 years, we never talk to each other. We didn't see each other, didn't cross paths. And now we're constantly in things like this every now and again. It's just really cool.
We didn't have each other's phone numbers. So
it wasn't that we got in. I've never argued with this guy at all. It's just life happened. We just didn't cross paths, and here we are again in podcasts. It's pretty cool.
Love it.
Did
mate.
you ever see each other back then? Did you like?
No, we didn't see.
No,
the first time we got to meet up with each other was for a panel that we did up in the Blue Mountains nearby here, and that got put out on Reddit. Was it Reddit or?
Yeah, it was Reddit, and it ended up on.
And then that went viral, and that post went to #1, and we stayed viral at #1 for 6 hours on Reddit.
Yeah.
That's pretty immense, actually, for Reddit.
It was really cool.
I thought it was really crazy with some of the comments that were being made. And I always say that my favourite one bloke said, "You guys are the Beatles."
Huh?
and
I was Ringo, apparently.
Yes, I got Ringo and I got John. So, all the four, one or the other. Oh, yes. I had to ask him. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. But yeah, we just lost contact, and Facebook came about, and we connected that way. And then it wasn't until about 5 years after that we finally saw each other face to face. I think it was. So yeah.
And that was really cool. And then for some reason we waited this long to do a panel. Like anyway, it happened. We've done 2 panels now together, and well, we would have been doing another one perhaps around about now, actually, if it wasn't for this stupid COVID.
Yeah, but you know what? It also kind of gave us the idea to do this mad thing where we're in stupid time zones, trying to get this sorted, and finally chatting. So it's done all right. It's
taken a few times, isn't it? To get
so this is the. I think I was chatting to Todd about this earlier. I think this is pretty much the third time we've tried to get this sorted, wasn't it?
You know how they say it's 3 times the charm? Well, this was actually more the 4th time.
Fourth or fifth time the charm.
At the very least, I would say.
So, Adrian, you were responsible for the first one, weren't you?
Yeah, it was all set up, ready to go. You guys were chomping at the bit. Like, yeah, let's start it. And I was like, yeah, sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys, work's being a bitch.
Sorry, not going to happen.
Yeah, I can't speak too much about it, but ramped up at work a bit, so I just couldn't do it. I just, sorry, guys, I had to pull the plug.
Yeah.
And then
the second time, someone had a heart attack.
Which is just rude, personally.
It's just damn rude, Brian.
It was just ill-timed, just so rude.
Mate, I mean...
When I saw that message, I actually thought it was a joke, a bit of a sort of dark humour, but you actually did have a heart attack.
You thought he'd gone Charlie Brooker.
Legit had a heart attack about this time a month ago.
What the hell happened,
sitting here... Yes, I was getting back from afternoon tea break and getting ready to sit back down to go just another couple of hours till the end of the shift. And as I was sitting down, just something wasn't right. It was just feeling off and finding it a little bit hard to breathe. My arms getting tingly and just feeling like the world was pressing against my chest. And it was... I didn't know what... I thought I had bloody COVID, didn't I? So, so I thought maybe I should just go down to the GP, but then I remembered my dad went through this last year. He went to the GP and they just told him to take some pills and walk it off almost, and then he collapsed. So I thought I wasn't thinking heart attack, but I was thinking take the GP out of the equation, which is like a local doctor. Take them out of the equation, go straight to the hospital. And that was the best decision I've ever made. And a little public announcement. If anyone is over the age of 35, hasn't had their blood tested, do it. Just do it.
Just random blood tests?
I get a blood test and they can go through and see if your cholesterol levels are too high, whatever, and put you on the straight and narrow. I went and did it 4 years ago. They told me that my cholesterol level was too high, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I ignored it, and don't do that. If they tell you got to change your diet or do this and that, do it.
I've had similar, actually. They told me to kick the booze a couple of years ago after I had one.
How dare they? That's just rude.
I'm just like, come on, man. I haven't kicked it completely. I had a couple last night. So, better keep an eye on that, eh? But mate, I think I can speak for all of us and say we're glad you didn't snuff it and that you're here.
Oh, well, thanks, man. And I put the tweet out about that, and like just so many hundreds of responses.
Oh yeah.
Back in relation to that, it was a surprise to everyone, including me. So,
You're feeling better now. Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. It feels like it was just a plumbing job, and now I'm back. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me. I haven't got any puncture wounds or anything to speak of. Just a slight mark on my wrist from where they put the tubes, etc. It's just unbelievable.
Did you have a bypass or something? Or what actually did they do?
I had two stems inserted.
Oh, stents. Okay, cool.
Stents. Sorry. Yeah.
Mate, you're a legend, man. You're a legend. You lived it.
Yeah.
You lived it. You loved it.
Yeah. But able to talk about it and warn other people. Get yourself checked out. Anyway,
how's that diet going?
I'm losing weight.
How's the salmon? Are you enjoying salmon?
Oh, man, I'm so sick of seafood. I hate seafood, and that's what they're getting me to eat. And I'm just sitting there not enjoying it. But I'm at my lightest level I've been for the last 2 years. Weight, that is the lightest weight.
Yeah, not like walking on air. No, but yeah, it's good, mate. It's good, mate. No, really, really pleased. I mean, it's the first time one of our potential interviewees has ever had a heart attack.
Almost cracked it.
At the thought of having to come on with us, I think it's.
Yeah. Well, we had to cancel that podcast due to the fact that the guest died on us.
I mean, that would be awful. That would be awful.
To be honest, getting out of the podcast, that's probably number one. So well done.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I was dying to get you.
Yeah. And then the third time, Adrian kiboshed it again, didn't you, Ace? You decided to go to Spain.
I was on holiday. Yeah.
Who flies internationally during a damn pandemic? Are you nuts?
This guy here.
This guy does.
The rebel.
I mean, Jesus. Yeah. We had a good time, yeah? It's good. And didn't get COVID.
Yeah. No.
We think. We
Not
hope.
that he knows it.
We hope.
How many days? All right.
Well, the niceties are done. Everyone is correct and present. Why don't we start with some, obviously, our listeners might not know who you guys are. We might have obviously some crossover. Let's find out a bit more about you. Todd, because I know you've been champing at the bit there. And I'll ask you a question. How did you... you're shaking your head. No, don't shake your head. What got you into gaming, buddy? I mean, you've got a mammoth collection behind you there. What actually got you into it? What was the moment when, Todd went, ooh, yeah, gaming?
Just chomping at the bit. So, yes, I'm ready to talk. When I was growing up, it was always in my hand. My dad always had computers around. He was technology. My dad just had everything from cameras to computers to whatever. So, as far back as I can remember, at least 3 years old, I've had Commodore 64s, Atari 2600s, I've had Master Systems from my neighbors, I've had Super Nintendo. So I really grew up in the 80s. So I was born in 1982. So I really started gaming probably around 1985. Honestly, from the first time I can remember anything, I can remember playing Wizards of War on my Commodore 64 all the way back then. And I thank my dad because he really is even now the reason why I'm even doing anything to do with YouTube, anything to do with my gaming or anything. I thank him for all that he's given me because back in the 80s, as you guys know, not many people had video cameras. And my dad always had the latest video keyboard, the very first video camera that was introduced into Australia at the time. So even when I was first born, before video cameras, we had the 8mm film. So I've actually got video footage of me walking as a little baby in 1982 or 1983 by the time I started walking. And not many people did. So for that, I really do have to thank him for that. And that's why I'm into what I'm doing now, which is YouTube and gaming on a regular basis, as you guys know. So that's where it all came from. It was basically my dad. He got me into it. And as far as back I can remember, that's where it all started from.
Well done, Top Loader Senior. But, I mean, how many home vids are there of you playing this stuff? Because, obviously we made a joke, and I think Spacies has made a GIF out of one of them. And there's
Mate,
It's like you playing a Game Gear off the wall with no batteries because obviously it tears through batteries. It's like how much of that stuff have you got?
Mate, the gaming is probably like when he videoed us, probably it's more of us playing in the backyard, not as much, unfortunately, with the gaming. So pretty much everything you guys have seen with the gaming is I've probably already released to YouTube. There's not much really left in that department, but I've got hundreds of hours of me just playing like with the treehouse, with being my Ninja Turtle outfit, being crazy little kid in the backyard. It's got plenty of that. But the gaming, unfortunately, is pretty much what you've already seen on YouTube and Twitter is probably the bulk of what I've already got in that department. Unfortunately, but, you know, of me personally, there's so much of me anyway. I try and put as much as me from back then into videos somehow anyway, because it's still me and it's still who I am. And I always try to work it into a video that I'm doing at the time.
Mate, sweet.
I think it's very clever. I think it makes it, quite real. I like, definitely worth checking out Todd's videos, 100%.
Yeah, so there's going to be links in the show notes to all these guys' Twitters and channels and everything. And yeah, you definitely got to check this out. I think the first time I came across Toppers was your Streets of Rage vid. Very entertaining. It was about half an hour long, I think. And it was just basically Todd pretending he was Axel and his mate driving at him in like a motocross kind of thing and almost running him over. And it was very entertaining, mate. How the hell did you come up with that idea?
Alcohol.
Were you drunk? Were you drunk the whole time?
Nah, the ideas, they just come to me, man, because I hear a song and it's like, you know what would be awesome with that song? If I got into a paddock and had my friends drive at me with a 250Z Yamahas. That would be like an awesome idea. How could I work that into a video? But honestly, the ideas just come to me. Sometimes I hear a song and I go, you know what? How can I use that song? And I'll think about an idea to go with the song. And sometimes it works the reverse. I'll think of an idea and I go, what song would be good with that? So that's how my ideas come to me. But when it comes to that Streets of Rage video, that's real, man. And thinking back, when my friends are going past me, if you look at my face, I'm like concentrating on where they're going because I'm actually thinking they're going to hit me. And
you look like you're parrying it. You look like you're kind of like parrying the bike. You're like, nice.
That's no greens. That is no green screen, man. And I'm thinking to myself afterwards, they hit me. And I got home from it because I didn't tell my missus what I was doing, right? I just said I'm going to go out to film some stuff. And because we went to the middle of nowhere to do it, and her car was full of mud. I was covered in mud. And she's like, what the hell have you been doing? I'm like,
you've been mud wrestling
what's
again.
What's wrong? Yeah, mud wrestling. I didn't even notice how full of mud the car was. And I look at the back of me, it's all down, all through her cars, all this mud. I'm thinking, oh my God, what the hell did I just do? But you know what? It came out really well, and I was very happy with the end product.
It was very entertaining, mate. I mean, I've been watching your stuff ever since, so well done. Well done.
Thanks.
Let's move on to another one in the room. Tim. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
How did you get into gaming? I know you're a big Sega fan, obviously, as well. But how did you get into the gaming?
Well, I lived during a time before there was video games. Like Rizzo.
Tim is 70 years old. He looks 30, but he's about 70 years old.
48, actually.
Oh, mate! What?
The other day.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Shut the front door. Mate, you're looking good, man.
Yeah,
looking
Brian,
good, son.
Maybe it's the hair.
It could be the COVID
It's the
hair.
hair covering the wrinkles. No. So, I used to play a lot of board games. I was so into gaming what was available at the time. So I always played board games, and and because I was in hospital a lot as a kid, I used to play these games on my own. So even Monopoly, I'd sit there and I'd imagine there were other people playing against me, and I'd try and beat them. And
Dude, you're breaking my heart.
Well, there's not much else you could do. So I made the most of what I had. So I played Yahtzee, I played games like Squatter.
I used to play chess against myself, so I can relate.
Oh, no, Brian!
My dad, God bless him, he taught me how to play chess, and I could never beat him. He was so good. I'm not saying he was a grandmaster, but I just love playing games. And then I ran across Space Invaders at a local squash court, and my life changed from that point on. I was like, another form of gaming. Yeah, that I could interact with.
And that was
I
it.
didn't need to have somebody play with me. So, yeah, so that's how I got into it all.
I mean, I was an only child, so gaming, video games for me were brilliant. That's something to play against, something to challenge me. I think I might have done the Monopoly thing by myself once, actually.
Okay.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah. No, I've still got my board games when I was a kid.
Oh,
I've
mate.
still got them.
Yeah,
love them. Yeah.
I've got other editions of them, but yeah, obviously got to try and keep the same ones. That Space Invaders one segues quite nicely to Brian over there, because since Spacies, there's something about since Spacies as a name, isn't it?
Yeah, so when I was coming up with a name for the channel, there was only one other name that I kind of considered, and that was going to be the Sega Times. But I thought I can't just restrict myself to just Sega content. And then I thought back to when Xbox 360 first came out, you could actually put a certain amount of letters of text as your motto, and it would be underneath your username. Hardly anyone remembers this feature, but it was a thing. And in certain games like Dead or Alive, if you looked in the background, you'd actually see your motto up on the big displays in the, near the arena on the scoreboard in the background. And so I was just trying to think, what could I put in for my motto? And I remember reading on a forum, some guy was talking about how he said, my old lady's been playing video games since Spacies. And I thought,
boom,
that's it.
Enigma.
It's Spacies. That's my motto. So I used it as my motto, and then when I was coming up with a choice of name for the channel, since Spacies, it's got to be ... You got to have that ... to the unspoken. I've been playing video games since Spacies, and it just stuck. And a lot of people don't understand that Spacies is Australian slang for Space Invaders, but I did hear a Kiwi guy, a tradesman, who came into the house going, "Oh, you got lots of video games, eh? Oh, I used to play. I used to hang out in the Spacies arcade and play the games myself." And when he said that, I was just like, "Mate, sorry, what did you just say?" I used to play them Spacies as well. And I went, man, I hardly ever hear anyone refer to it as Spacies anymore. Thank you, man.
It's an anti-Padian thing, isn't it? We never refer to it like that. You had to explain it to me yonks ago. Yeah.
It was definitely an Australian and Kiwi thing, and I don't know about the rest of the world. Yeah.
So is that what got you into gaming? Was Spacies the sort of the eureka moment?
Oh, for sure. I walked into the milk bar. I've done a video on this, and milk bars used to be like a corner shop that sold milkshakes and lollies and whatnot. And they had pinball machines for the most part. But one day I walked in and there was this cabinet with this weird looking alien thing on the side. It looked electric. It looked like really scary and menacing. And as a 4 or 5-year-old seeing that scared the crap out of me, but I was interested, like, what is this machine? And I walked up and there's this weird alien things coming down with bases to protect you, and you're shooting up, and what got me was that I'd never seen anything where you actually controlled what was happening on the screen before. You explain that to kids now, and they've just grown up with iPads and whatnot. To them, they can't comprehend that. But you actually could press the button and things moved on the screen and stuff happened according to how you moved it. And I was hooked from the very first moment. And put my milk crate, climbed up, put my 20 cents in, and I've been playing games since. So
hooked, man. Hooked.
Yeah, hook, line, sinker.
I mean, what?
If we could steal that since Spacies thing for each other members in this panel, I'd be since Zool.
Since Zool? Oh my word! What?
Todd, you might be since Bubsy.
I love Bubsy. That one, this is Bubsy, okay?
Bubsy follows us on Twitter. Yeah, we can't diss him. He follows us on Twitter.
Well, is there actually an official Twitter account for Bubsy.
He only follows about 100 of us. I think because we did that podcast on him, whoever was running the account at the time just went, follow Arcade Attack. And we're like, oh, I can DM Bubsy. That's quite interesting. But, yeah.
He keeps popping up everywhere. Every time I put a Bubsy tweet out, he always pops up, that guy. I think that's what you're talking about.
Is there another Bubsy game coming out? I think there's another new one coming out or something. I don't know.
Possibly. I personally
Please
only
say
like
no.
the first one. I personally only really like the first one. The other ones I'm very, not into, but the first one's the one that I think is, people go onto it a bit too much, but I think it's actually a good game, but a lot of people don't think it's a good game, which is fine, but everyone has their opinion.
Don't get him started.
We'll come on to
I'll
Bubsy
stop.
later. No, we'll have a little Bubsy chat later. But
Tim is also since Spacies.
Tim would also be since Spaces. I was going to say that. So Tim is since
It could also
Spaces.
be a little bit of since Pong, but yeah,
Since
Pong.
I would be,
Pong.
I would be since Binatone Pong Machine, which is not as catchy. I don't know. Have you guys seen
What the
these
fuck?
Binatone? No. So it was like a rip-off. It was like a rip-off Pong machine. And you hooked it up. So this was years ago. Oh my god! Even before I got proper into video games, my cousins had one, and it took them ages to actually get it working on the telly because you got to scan the channel and everything. And it had these two rusty dials, and I was like, oh man! I was like, this is amazing.
Are yours since Pong clone?
Since Binatone rip-off Pong machine. Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
The first game I remember playing properly wasn't the Zord. It was a Spectrum pirate game, and it sounds a bit rude now, but I'd be since Booty.
Since Booty.
Since Booty. There you go.
I'd own that.
that
I'd
sounds
totally
like
own that.
That's a pirate game, isn't it? Is that a pirate game?
Might be.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
it
Obviously.
rings a bell. I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite a good game, like a platform game. It's a very good game, actually. That's
You have
the
to
first
just
game I
collect
remember
booty. I mean, treasure.
playing. Adult themes now.
But it does have a like a PC meaning. Don't worry, it does have a PC meaning. Booty. Arr.
Oh yeah.
Arr, booty.
Another word for pirate
Arr.
treasure. That's a Beastie Boys sample.
But
I blame you.
it's good. So obviously you guys went into gaming. Tim and Brian on the old Sega hotline. Actually, I'm curious. Like, how did you even guys get the? I'll start with Tim. Actually, how did you get the job? How did it even come about that it was a thing? Like, I don't even. How do people get those jobs?
Well, I didn't even know the job existed.
They found you. They
No, it wasn't like they were looking for me. God, no. So I'll try and cut a long story short. So one day I came across the Master System, fell in love with it, and I used to play my video games while I was in hospital on that, and became a really big fanboy. I wanted to know more about Sega. So I saw one of the games, and there was an address on the back of one of the cartridges, one of the boxes. So I wrote a letter to Sega of America, and I wasn't really expecting anything. But then again, I guess I was, because I don't know. I just expected something, maybe. And anyway, somebody replied, and her name was Judy, and she was in some sort of customer relations of that. And anyway, we built a big friendship out of it all. Years went by, and she sent through a box to me, and in the box was every cheat and walkthrough for every Master System and Mega Drive that had come out, ones that had not been released yet. So they've been announced and been and they had the cheats for them, and games that hadn't even been announced.
Wow.
So I was sitting on this, mother's load of information, but I didn't know what to do with it. And then a few months went by. I saw another box, and there was a number for the Sega hotline, which was up in Sydney. Now I'm living in country Victoria, so to give you an idea of distance, it's about a 10-hour drive up the highway. Yeah, so it's not exactly close. So,
no.
So anyway, gave him a call. I don't know. Some bloke answered. I don't know who it was, to be honest.
I might even know.
You
Yeah. But anyway.
You might have been. So anyway, I tried him out. I go, oh yeah, that sounds good. You know your stuff. And then I kept on harassing him every week as to how I get a job there.
Was his name
Yeah.
Luke? Does the name Luke Foy remember
I
ring a
can't
bell?
remember the name. I
Okay.
don't think I even bothered about remembering names because I was just so excited that there
Give
was
me a job.
line.
Give me, I don't care who you are, just give me a job.
Give me a job. Yeah. So anyway, kept on pestering them. I always say I reckon they gave up. So I went up there.
just give the guy a bloody
They
job.
caved. They caved.
Get him out of the way. And I flew up there, and back then buying a flight between where I lived in northeast Victoria to Sydney it was actually cheaper to fly to Bali than it
Jesus.
would have been.
Barley's like north
It's
of you guys,
just
isn't it?
ridiculous.
It worked the
So,
Sega hotline in Bali then, you know?
Yeah, just
Yeah, so I went up there, didn't know what the hell I was doing in the interview because I never had a job before. Really. And they asked me, what could you bring to Sega? You know, what makes you so special? And I slid across a bit of paper and they're going, what's this? I said, I have a read. And it was a walkthrough and cheat codes for a particular game that hadn't been released. And I'm wondering, like,
how did you get this?
how do you know this? I was like, told them about Judy over in the US, and they asked, well, have you got more? And I'm going, well, yeah, depends. And so anyway, I didn't know how I went in the job. No idea at all. Went back down, and a couple of days later, they offered me the job, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Here we are.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Brian's
I tried to-
story... That's a brilliant story, by the way, but I'm guessing that Brian's story doesn't entail a box full of goodies from America. He's looking like it doesn't.
I always thought that my story and my adventures of how I got into Sega was a great read, but when I first heard Tim's background story, it was like me throwing papers up and yelling, I give up. He tops mine, but I'll have a shot at it. I was just a huge Sega fanboy. It was mostly due to the arcade machines that got me thinking, this company knows what they're doing. Nintendo weren't even on the radar. I knew what Nintendo were, but they didn't really strike a chord with me. And it wasn't, Nintendo just wasn't as big in Australia as what Sega was. I first heard about Nintendo with Game & Watches, and then I saw this thing called Mario Brothers on a grey box, and it looked cool, and I was really interested in it. But to me, it felt like that was their only game, and that was such a wrong, impression of a company. But that's the way it was at the time. Whereas you go into the arcades, you never saw the word Nintendo anywhere. It was just Sega everywhere, and so I idolized them for that. And then when I saw that they had this thing called a Master System, I really wanted to get that, but I couldn't afford it. So I ended up getting the SC3000 computer, which was reduced to clear. And I've still got it. So that's what started me off on my Sega adventure. And eventually I got the printer that goes along with it and all the word processor stuff for that Sega computer. And I thought, I want to write my own magazine. So I'm only in high school at this stage. I got no idea on how to do anything. I'm just making it up as I go along. I'm printing out the words, the text, and getting pictures from magazines and putting it onto paper, being held in place with blue tack to hold it into place and photocopying it. And that was my magazine, a whole stack of them. And I would send them into Sega and say, can I get... I was asking them, can I get games sent to me to review? Nice. And I didn't expect an answer, but the next thing you know, I've got games coming in left, right, and centre to review.
Wow.
And we're not talking review codes. It's not like now.
They send you the lovely little games.
Well, one day they sent me 4 Mega Drives by mistake.
They sent you 4 Mega Drives.
What am I meant to do with this? And then they asked me to send it back, and I was honest enough to give it back. I tried getting a job with the Sega lot, and the guy that was the manager at the time, he was just really dragging the chain on the whole thing, and he ended up getting moved on and replaced by another staff member, Karen, who one of her first duties was to start bulking up the Sega hotline with stuff that actually care about the product. And one of their first calls was to me because I was sending them magazines, and so I ended up getting the job. And my interview was, you can obviously read and you can obviously write. What else can you bring to the hotline? And I said, well, I've finished Alex Kidd in Miracle World. You're hired. that was all I needed was to finish it. And I legitimately did finish that game without the use of any hotline or anything like that. We had to sit there and work it out ourselves. I played the cartridge version. I didn't get to play the inbuilt. It was before it was being given away as a freebie game. And that took ages to figure that out, but we did it. Weird thing is that Sega was sending me games back in the 80s to review. I've done a full circle. Sega have got a hold of my name now since Spacies, the people who are distributing Sega in Australia, and they're sending me review codes in 2020.
Nice, man.
Which is kind of it's come complete circle. You know,
30
I'm doing
years.
I'm doing the whole review thing again all these years
They
later.
might send you free Game Gear Minis in the post as well by mistake soon, hopefully.
I would rather they send me a Dreamcast 2 if there's a prototype for one there out there. So not going to happen.
Never will.
They might have made one. You know how these things get buried. You never know. Yeah, the Game Gear Micro thing was a bit of a. Did you guys?
I'd have one as a joke.
You have one as a joke.
I'd have one as. I'd have it as a joke.
Oh, you'd have it as a joke.
It's just it was. On when they first announced it, it was interesting, but the more you read about it, the more it was like looking at a car crash.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
well, it's meant to be the fog gaming thing as well. Like, the whole kind of Sega right now, they seem a bit all over the place, don't they?
Well, when have they ever not been all over the place? That's the problem with Sega. Since the mid '90s, they've just, I don't know, they've lost the plot, and it's really sad.
That was it, isn't it? It's like basically the early '90s, they had their SHIT together, and then me and Tim were just lucky enough to be working for the company during the time when they were at their peak, and they were bigger than Nintendo at that stage. And that's not just a brag or a boast. They were. They were beating Nintendo in market share in the States. They were here in Australia. We were absolutely killing it until the Super Nintendo started to gain traction. Ooh, the SNES. We've got a SNES fan right down there with his Pikachu hat on.
Oh no, I had both. I was playing Street Fighter 2 while taking calls on the Sega hotline. You know.
Oh no, you didn't have one in the office.
I did. I was playing.
Heathen. How could you do that?
The weird thing is, kids are ringing up asking, when is Street Fighter 2 coming out on the Mega Drive? And I'm sitting there, Hadouken.
You're like, I don't care. I got a SNES in it.
I don't know. Don't care. We did go get the EEPROM for Street Fighter 2. Yeah, that was a big moment.
Wow, and you're like, oh my god, the Mega Drive can actually do this.
It was the first time we saw the 6 button as well, because it came with the game too. So that was very nice of them to send that over, or else it would have been almost impossible to play Street Fighter. But I always say I don't think any work got done that day. Absolutely none. I always say that when we finished for the day, Brizza here was a tad bit excited about.
Oh, here we go.
Because he'd be walking back to the bus stop. And we have to walk past this park, and we're walking all the way down this park, and all Brizza could do in front of us was reenact Hadouken, and he's jumping up like he's
Hadouken. It's not Hadouken, it's Shoryuken.
But he was really
we were doing similar, mate.
But we were bloody excited as well. Maybe we just kept it inside us.
You didn't knock anyone out, did you, Brian?
But the police are going to be on you.
Some kid walking past.
Lee kicks. No joking.
Spacey's doing a spinning bird kick. I mean, that's an image you're not going to get out of your head anytime soon.
He wouldn't be able to get up again.
We're back to the hospital. Joking. But Matt, Matt, it sounds like you guys had some great times. What are your? I mean, we're a bit short on time. Obviously, I'd like to tap your brain all day about this. But we'll start with Tim. What's your sort of your favorite memory? Obviously, going not the Street Fighter 2 thing, but maybe like another like favorite memory from the Sega hotline.
Favorite memory.
Best day. Yeah, favorite memory.
Some very special, unique memories, like people can't get their Mega Drive out of the box, or
what?
Or the visit to that lady's house, because I felt sorry for him. That was a bad one.
You visited? Hang on, whoa.
It's a long story.
Is it? Okay, all right.
It's a long story. I'll tell you another time.
We'll leave that on.
But I think my favourite memory is a combination of a lot of things, and it's, you know, the kids ringing up really excited, and they wanted to sit there and chat to you about, you know, what's coming out, why they love Sonic, why they love Sega, and that. The fan mail we used to get that would come in and you know, read it all up, and some of the stuff that they would draw for us, that was pretty cool. I think it's just generally it's a culmination of so many positive memories. I remember, like, do you remember the Sega Lock-On? Sort of like their laser game? Yeah. Well, there was one weekend where we were all upstairs and we were all firing at each other. We got no work done. We're just playing around with this thing. We had the twins and me and Grizzly were all firing against it. Yeah, it's just
I think it was setting off the alarms upstairs too. We weren't supposed to be up there.
Exactly. And then we had the having some of the celebrities come in, like the basketballers, and the special releases we would get to go to.
We had Bud from Married with Children in the office one day. That was weird.
Yeah.
He's so short. That was for an interview, because the Sega Hotline also had on down the hall a magazine that we used to write for as well. It was a in-house magazine, so our duties weren't just answering the calls; it was also writing reviews for that magazine. And so they'd have celebrities for feature articles come by. Would you like to have a look at the hotline? And then we'd be on a call and look up, and then there's some random celebrity just gawking at us on the phone. So yeah, it was a cool time.
Is that your sort of your favourite moment then, Brian, or is there another little story?
No, my favourite one's weird. I mean, I had an absolute ride of a time, you know, just being there. How long were
you guys there? How long did this thing even last? How many years was this?
I was there for about 4 years.
Wow.
Tim was there longer.
I was there for 5.
Yeah,
5 years.
About 5 years.
But my best memory was we used to get the maps sent in by calls. It's kind of like people doing Let's Plays now and finishing up games and writing guides online. But before internet, they had all this talent and information that they were writing down. They didn't know where to send it, so they'd send it in to us to use on the hotline because they were wanting to help out. And I kept some of them. And one guy in particular, he did a guide for Wonder Boy in Munsterland, and I just thought that this guy put so much effort into it, how much everything is worth, where you can get all the items for, the maps, the lot. And he had his name and address and everything on there. And all these years later, I thought, I wonder if I can track him down. So I searched his name. I stalked him, you know.
Nice bit of stalking.
I stalked him all these years later, and I found the guy on Facebook, and I sent him a random message saying that, hey, I don't know if you remember sending in a guide to the Sega hotline all those years ago. And he replied back, was it Wonder Boy in Munsterland? I'm like, no way, this guy remembers. And I wanted him to be on my channel because I thought that would make such a cool video. And he wanted to remain anonymous, and I'm like, oh, come on, that's such a cool story.
Why did he want to remain anonymous? I don't want to ask.
His name was Scott Morrison. Nah, joking. Prime Minister.
He's a Prime Minister.
No, he's not. He wasn't anyone famous or anything. Maybe, I don't know. And I tried tracking down one of our colleagues, and because he's gone on to become a professional in his field. And I was trying to get him to come onto the channel, but no reply.
I hate to break it to you guys, but there are people out there who think what we do is not cool. It's
You're joking. Who are they? And tell me their names.
Yeah,
my wife, actually. You know, that's one name.
We're gonna say we're gonna sick toppers on them. Yeah, but I love that. I love that.
I'm on to yours. I can sniff them out.
I could I could listen to the Sega Hotline stuff all day, seriously. But let's move on. There's a guy I know, Todd. I've got to bring you back in, mate. I know you've been like Sega or Sega or Sega.
Sega again, guys. Oh, wait a minute. I just heard all about it.
But the thing is, right? Like whenever I see your collection, Todd, there's more Nintendo stuff there, isn't it? Would you say you're more a Nintendo guy than a Sega guy?
Yeah, I'm definitely more Nintendo guy because when I first went back to the Super Nintendo in 2003, I noticed that the Super Nintendo cartridges were getting really expensive. So I thought, well, if I start collecting them now, I might, it might be better off for me later on when they're really expensive. So I started off with the Super Nintendo. So organically, all this Nintendo stuff just kept building up more and more and more because the Sega stuff like the Mega Drive was nowhere near as expensive. Even now, it's actually pretty decently priced if you want to buy any Sega stuff. The Super Nintendo cartridges with the box, if you want a box Super Nintendo cartridge, it's getting to the point where the prices are just ludicrous. So all my
because everyone destroyed the boxes, mate. That's why you had a SNES.
Yeah, mate, I didn't destroy my boxes, but my brother's
your mates
friends
did. Yeah,
my brother's friends destroyed my boxes, but I had to replace those boxes years later. Even for games that I didn't like, I replaced the boxes for the games that my brother's friends destroyed.
I got to interrupt. Anyone that follows Top Loader has got to watch that video about how his older brother loaned out the game and how it got damaged. It's just an absolute crack up, literally. Got to watch that video.
We'll get it.
It was actually Bubsy too.
What? Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't.
It was Bubsy and X-Men Arcade's Revenge. There's actually two, but got damaged. So they're both funny stories. But basically, the Bubsy one, my brother lent it to him with the box because the cardboard boxes are like. So as I was watching my friend pull out his pants, my brother's friend put the cartridge and the box down his pants and ride off into the sunset on his bike.
Oh my god! Crushed. Absolutely crushed.
When it came back, how good do you think that the condition of the Bubsy box actually was?
It's flat.
not too good.
Violated.
It did sticky tape it back together, so I can't complain too much.
You can't, but you will.
Yeah. But then, okay, so Bubsy's got a big place in your heart, hasn't it, mate? But what's your sort of favourite Nintendo games? What's your sort of favourite Nintendo?
My favourite Nintendo game is actually Super Mario World and F-Zero, because F-Zero, that needs a new game, but Super Mario World is actually the very first game that I completed 100%, all 96 exits. Because it came packed in with my Super Nintendo. I didn't really think too much of it at the time, because everyone wanted Street Fighter 2. When you got a Super Nintendo on Christmas Day, everybody wanted Street Fighter 2, which is what I played for about 2 weeks straight. I don't think I even played any of my other games apart from Street Fighter 2. I put them all in probably once to check to see if they worked. But by the time I got over Street Fighter 2, and I finally put Super Mario World into it, I thought, what a great game. And I just got hooked on it so much that I completed the whole game, and to this day, it's still my favorite game of all time, and it's just got the best balance of platforming to hardness. It's not too frustrating, it's not too underwhelming, and there's also harder levels.
I've maxed it out as well.
Yeah. There's also harder levels with the special levels if you want an extra challenge as well. So it's actually a very good balancing game. I've actually just taught my son how to fly his cape in Super Mario World, so he's actually flying all over the place. He's flying all through the levels now.
Can I surprise you? Can I shock you?
You can.
The first time I played Super Mario World was about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
The thing is,
that is surprising.
Yourself a gamer.
I know I'm a gamer, Dylan. But the thing is, right over here, with the Sega Nintendo divide here, but over here, Nintendo wasn't as popular. I swear to God, like growing up and just everywhere, it just wasn't that popular. I mean, I don't know, Adrian. When did you first get like a Nintendo? You got the Sega stuff first, right?
My first Nintendo was N64, so that tells you
Jesus.
really.
Oh,
I've got a
sorry,
SNES later.
sorry to hear.
We feel sorry for you now.
Sorry to hear.
Oh, I like my N64.
I will say that in the 80s it was all Sega in Australia, or Sega, however you want to say it. Nintendo didn't really come into it until Street Fighter 2, basically, because
Street Fighter put them on the map here, definitely.
it was exclusive to the Super
Same.
Nintendo for a time being, and we all thought that it was just going to stay exclusive, which it obviously wasn't. And honestly, that's the only reason why I bought a Super Nintendo, because the Master System was actually king in Australia until Street Fighter 2 came out.
Hang on a minute. Am I more of a Nintendo fan than you are? Because I bought mine Super Nintendo before Street Fighter 2 was even heard of on the system.
I was 11 years old, bro. I was trying to pay for it. Christmas time, man.
Spacies was earning
By the
money.
way-
You were like, oh, Christmas time.
In all fairness, I did actually go to Brash's. There's a store name that you haven't heard in years, and I bought a Super Nintendo on my lunch break while working for Sega, and came back with it, and everyone just looked at me in shock, like, because I was like the biggest Sega fanboy, but the game that sold the Super Nintendo for me was F-Zero. I saw those Mode 7. I saw that Mode 7 in effect. Oh my god! What? Where did you pull that thing up from?
The audio only guys can't see, but Tim's holding up a Brash's bag. How old is that? 30 years?
Okay, Brash's hasn't been a thing since the late 90s.
Oh, mate.
90s.
Did
Well
you buy that
done.
off eBay,
Yeah.
mate?
They didn't make
Hashtag
anything
Janja.
biodegradable, did they, back in them days? Jeez.
No, that was built to
I
last.
worked in an op shop. I volunteered in an op shop, and somebody dropped off some clothing and that. And this-
I would have kept that for sure.
Thank you very much. So, anyway,
So, yeah, I personally was attracted to the Super Nintendo because of the Mode 7 graphics. And when I first got the Super Nintendo, I actually came down with chickenpox. So for 2 weeks, I was off the hotline. And so rather than playing Sega, I was playing the Super Nintendo because it was my new console. And I finished and completed and maxed out Super Mario World. And just so now I've got some really vivid memories of that game because of the chicken pox while playing it. I don't know if you guys have had chicken pox, but you kind of come.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But I just I didn't like the game originally. I thought Super Mario World looked very kiddish and cartoonish. It just didn't look like a game that I would get into. But as soon as you just pick up the controller and start getting into it, those controls are tight. It's
How
such
much?
a
Yeah, I mean, how
good
much is
game.
it an evolution from Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES? Because a mate of mine at primary school used to have that, and I used to just like go around his house just to play that.
Okay.
But how much better is it?
Actually
really?
much.
sound and audio and in controls,
Yeah.
everything. It's just like a huge step up.
Gameplay wise, though, there's not much apart from Yoshi. There's got better sound, obviously, but evolution wise, they didn't really evolution of it too much because I will say the best thing about it is the hub world. It's the best hub world in any Mario game ever. I don't think I've ever done a better hub world. The way it integrates with all the levels and everything changes as you move on. Plus all the red dot secrets, everything like that, which I still have now. But to say that Super Mario 3 is a big evolution, Super Mario World's big evolution for Super Mario 3, only graphically and sound-wise, really, and Yoshi, basically.
In my opinion, I think that, and this is coming from someone that didn't really like the NES growing up, but kind of trying to get into it now, all these years later. Super Mario Bros. 3, I found that the levels were too short.
But they were hard,
a lot
man.
of them, though.
They were way harder.
Yeah.
They were way harder, bro. They were way
Yeah.
harder.
As I found out on the stream the other night, yes.
World 8 is the hardest world. It's my personal favorite world in any Mario game. Even though Super Mario World is my favorite game, Mario 8 before the tanks and everything like that. That's my favorite. I actually like to do that without anything, like just without any power ups. I just like to do that just with my own skills because you can really hone your own skills by dodging all those bullets and getting around them tanks. It is the best set of levels in any Mario game.
Wow, that's quite a statement,
Yeah.
mate.
Mate, I'm stand by it or sit by it as I am.
We have to do more Mario stuff on our show because it's only really none of us have had the kind of experience of it that you guys have and I don't know
I
why.
played a lot of the Wii games still, and on like Mario. I forgot the name now. The
The Super Mario
the
Brothers on the
Galaxy.
Wii. Is that what you're thinking?
The
of?
Galaxy ones, yeah, I played a lot
Oh,
of
the
that.
Super Mario
Mario
Galaxy.
Galaxy,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That is a good one.
Um,
Collecting then.
any Zelda fans in the house?
I was gonna go.
I just asked about Zelda.
You know what? I was waiting for you to ask about that because we never talk about Zelda. In fact, actually, whenever we talk about Zelda all the time, but I think Adrian talks about Zelda, and then the rest of us are like, what?
Probably my favourite series of games.
Yeah.
There you go.
Dylan?
This is
And
I-
Dylan, you
No, I
need
have
to play
a
Zelda.
soft spot for Zelda.
which Zelda
I've got-
though?
Okay, Link to the Past. You're gonna
Yeah.
play at least.
Okay, so, yeah.
Same.
You've at least got to play. I know Adrian likes Ocarina of Time as one of his favorite games, but you've honestly, for a good place to start, I think Link to the Past is probably the best place to start. Or the 2DS one, the 3DS one, the Link Between Worlds.
Oh, that's
a
very
good one.
good. Yeah.
Adrian lent me
That's
that.
excellent.
I played it for about an hour, and when I went, "Oh, Adrian, do you want this back now?" I'll give. I think
I'll
I
drive
probably,
it this second. I don't want it anymore.
I probably just wasn't in the right headspace to get into it. We'll put it down to that.
Give
yeah.
it a chance. Give it a chance because it is. I think that's the wrong game to get into for the start because you don't have a particular order you got to do things in, and I think that's un-Zelda like of that game. They try to mix it up and do something new, but throwing someone into that game for the first time in the series probably not the best way to go. I think the Super Nintendo Link to the Past is the best Super Nintendo, the best Zelda game to get into for the first one.
I know that Adrian's a big fan of Breath of the Wild. Have any of you guys got a Switch? Any of you guys play that?
Yeah, and I actually bought it on Wii U first. I didn't have a Switch until at least a year in. And I really do like that game, but man, the breaking sword mechanic or whatever it is they've got in that game just does my head in.
It's a bit like The Witcher, isn't it? All right, so you basically stuff breaks.
it does.
Yes,
You need
and
to-
real quick.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's so annoying.
I had
mean,
to
the
go at
Master
Rob.
Sword even breaks.
I had to go
Does
at
the
Rob
Master
for
Sword
Streets
break?
of Rage 3 for that because because stuff breaks in Streets of Rage 3, doesn't it? I'm like, this sucks. I want to.
I don't understand.
I want a pipe for the whole level. Why are you making it break?
Well, it actually breaks in Streets of Rage 2 after a
Does it?
while. It
Oh, if you get hit,
disappears,
yeah.
But it doesn't show like in Streets of Rage 3 a meter where you can see it degrading. Yeah.
So be in a bit like a middle of a boss fight and it just break on you, and you gotta like searching for
I
your
needed
other
that.
swords. Yeah, I know, it's annoying, eh?
So the boss is chasing you whilst you're like trying to struggle around trying to find a sword. Is that what happened?
You've got backup
bin
swords.
or
You got
something
backup
to throw at
swords.
him.
You can hold about 20 swords by the end. But the Master Sword technically doesn't break, but it runs out of energy. So you
Yeah,
have
or
to-
something like that. Yeah.
Such a crap-
I couldn't remember. It was
man.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a bad mechanic. I just really, if there was one thing I could change, it would be that, and then it would be, to me, be the perfect game.
Great game. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
But then if you just had one amazing sword and it never run out, then you just like
Yeah, why would you
just
use the other
cane
swords?
everything,
Yeah.
and there'd be no strategy there, would there? Surely.
No, you definitely got strategy. It's just that you don't have to worry about the damn thing breaking. That's all.
But you're Link, Brian. You know, you're Link. You're like, oh, my sword's broken. Oh no. Go and
I
get
think
it.
by the time you get to a certain point in the game, you should be earning like a really good sword that doesn't break. Like you got to this point, like you're really high up, and you've just got a really good sword that just won't break. And all those other swords that break, it's just so annoying. But if you have one sword that you've earned that doesn't break, I think is a very good mechanic to put into the next Breath of the Wild game that they're going to bring out. Hopefully.
Next year, apparently, I think they're saying, aren't they?
All right.
Yeah.
I've heard that in the next game, Link is going to have a catchphrase. He's going to talk for the very first time. What do you reckon that'd be, Toppers? What do you reckon his catchphrase would be, Toppers?
Call me
Think of a
Zelda
catch-
one more time. That's the phrase.
Excuse me, princess.
Oh man.
There's a really good version of that meme, but with Patrick Bateman's face in it, like Christian Bale, like call me Zelda one more time. Yeah.
That is kind of weird, isn't it? That they did a cartoon featuring the adventures of Link, and he talks. No one,
Yeah.
like,
He's not meant to talk,
dude,
right?
you're not. Yeah, shut up. You're not meant to talk. What are you doing?
He's meant to be mute.
Just-
I know.
Just stop talking. We're not used to it from you.
He'd be
Have
a
you-
terrible guest on the podcast, though, wouldn't he? Can you imagine? So, Link,
Have it-
what's your favourite adventure? Ooh, no, nothing.
Just have him like Mr. Bean.
or Mr. Bean, or can you imagine if he sounded like Jar Jar Binks or something? Oh God, that's why you're mute.
I got a question. When you heard Zelda's voice for the first time, did you like go, no, nah? Was that your reaction as well, or was it just me?
Yeah. I think the voice acting is quite good in that game, but I do agree it didn't quite hit the Zelda notes. I agree, actually.
Yeah,
it wasn't
anyway,
quite on there.
Just me. It's not that she doesn't talk because it's just that you don't actually hear it. You just see it being written out for you. In Skyward Sword, she don't shut up in that game, but you don't actually get to hear the speech because Nintendo and voice acting, they just don't get along. That's for me the next area I'd like to see Nintendo really lift their game, and that is with voice acting. They just Mamma Mia and a couple of lines here and there is not going to cut it in 2020 onwards. I think they really got to. Isn't Nintendo famously say you don't need a story in a game? What
this?
He says that.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm really glad you brought this up because Sega were all about trying to make things like movies, weren't they? Back in the day with the old FMV. Do you think that kind of gaming? Do you think that kind of gaming is even gaming? Because I played the other day. I don't know if you guys have played it. I'm getting quite into my current gen stuff now, but I played Detroit Become Human the other day.
I want to play that. I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah,
you got to play it, dude. It basically, but it's just by Quantic Dream, and they're big into this kind of like interactive movie thing, and with a few kind of QTE things in there, and it just blew me away, dude. It blew me away. But when I was, you guys working for Sega, you would have seen the Mega CD, wouldn't you? I mean, what were your sort of like first impressions of the Mega CD and FMV gaming? I'll start with Tim because he's not chatted for a little while. But Tim, what was your sort of first impression of that, and did it blow you away, or were you like, this sucked? And what was your kind of impression of that?
Just for the record, the reason why I haven't spoken about Zelda is because I've never played it.
Yes, mate. Yes. Yes.
Another Zelda hater.
Tim,
I don't hate it.
I just don't have the patience.
I would suggest you try and change that. The Super
grab
Nintendo.
This, grab that, go up that. Go
You worked on a
over there,
hotline helping
chill
people
that.
do this stuff. Come on.
All right. So, my first impressions of the Mega CD. I was actually blown away by it. The games, I was amazed by it because it was really basic sort of stuff. Now, looking back, I think the games are rubbish. Okay, but you got to understand at the time, nothing really like this had really been done on the CD. I like the idea that you could play with music on it. It played like an ordinary CD.
Yeah.
I was actually amazed at the time, and it sort of gave me an idea. Wow, what's the future got in hold for this format, this new format? Instead of a cartridge, using the CD, what is to come? So, I was blown away from that aspect. That the game. Crap, but it just slowly opened up the door for a whole new format. Yeah, so I was really.
I had a chat with Tom Kalinske a few years ago. Before he even did the podcast, actually, he refused to answer our email questions. And I'm like, "Can you just Skype me?" And Adrian was like, "Oh, I got to work or something, and can you do it?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'll chat to Tom Kalinske." And he actually.
Next time you are struggling to find someone to talk to Tom Kalinske, just give me a call, all right? Because
I've still got his email. I've still got his email. I can put you in touch. But but he's and he said to me, I said, what do you think of the Mega CD in the games? And he said it was something that needed to happen, like the Mega CD. People knock it now. But it's the kind of thing that kind of needed to happen, that CD-based gaming, and then they're glad they did it. Okay, they could have made more money out of it, but they're glad they did it. And it kind of Sega, they did a lot of things for the industry to kind of bring it here, don't they? But your Spacies. Did you think that FMV, when you first saw the Mega CD in the FMV gaming, did you think that was going to be the future, or you're like, this is just.
I thought it was more of an interesting sideshow. I'll tell you one thing I didn't like about Night Trap in particular was all the calls that we got from press trying to milk a comment out of us about violence in video games, etc. I'll never forget how relentless some of those reporters were, and I ended up just hanging up on a couple of them because they were just that rude and just straight up. Like I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder at that age. I was like, if you're not into video games, I don't want to talk to you, sort of thing.
Nice.
And the novel and the angle that you could hear in the journalist's voice was that they were trying to get something to be talking negative about video games. And as soon as I detected that, I was clank, hang up. I just didn't want to talk to him. And so probably not going to work for PR for Sega based on that. My only complaint about the Mega CD was just too expensive, and they were aiming it to be like this high-end product, which I appreciated because I was getting a staff discount, which is how I got mine. I paid 450 buckaroonies for that. And it was retailing for $6.99.
Yes,
Australian dollars.
I was going to say
that's horrendous. This is an add-on. It's more expensive than the actual console.
They were about £300 over here. They were 300 quid.
And so they did try to address that later with the Mega CD too, but by that time the whole spark,
the bottom had fallen out of it.
Yeah. So I did think that there was a lot of potential. I think Snatcher was such a great game, and I got that on day one. I've still got that in my collection. That's worth a lot of
money now.
Yeah,
that's to be a PAL version as well. That would be a lot of money. Yeah.
And the other game that I think that did well on the system and took kind of some sort of advantage of the potential of the system was Sonic CD. It really did. It tried to tap into what Sonic 2 was meant to be going into the future and past and present. That they had to scrap that for Sonic 2, and it ended up being a thing of Sonic CD. So
I like that. I do. Yeah, I think Sonic CD is great actually. But the thing that annoyed me was that if you accidentally got into a spin attack and then knocked one of the things when you didn't really want to, I was like, I don't really want to go to the future, or like, I kind of want to stay here.
And then you got to wait 15 seconds for it to load.
That kind of. It's an almost game for me. It's an almost. I'm like, I don't want to go back. No, I was like, oh. Can you imagine like living? Can you imagine living the good life in the 80s and then coming to 2020? Seriously. Yeah. Screw you and your pandemic 2020.
Apparently Futurama, one of the episodes, at the start of each episode they have a little slogan that says, whatever you do, don't time travel to 2020. And this was done about 20 odd years ago.
They predict, I think some of those writers have predicted things that we can only like the Trump thing, like Simpsons predicted Trump.
Was it the elevator one where he's going up the elevator?
Yeah.
It's like
escalator.
Escalator. Yeah. Escalator. Sorry.
I just I don't know, man.
But getting back to the Mega CD and its features, Sonic CD, you just pointed out that it had a bit of an issue in loading a section, and you had to wait, and it wasn't that long a wait compared to the Neo Geo CD, but it was a wait nonetheless. But here we are in 2020, a new console's about to land. It's promising instant bang, you're in, and Crash Bandicoot is going to be one of the first games to... Ratchet and Clank, sorry. Ratchet and Clank's going to be one of the first games to really push that feature where you just zigzagging in and out of different dimensions on the fly, no loading. You can go this dimension or you can go that dimension, and bang, a new level just pops in and loads up. And I'm excited for the new generation of consoles based on that zero load time, that just instant things just dropping in on you left, right, and center.
Do you think that's a key reason why a lot of people go back to retro gaming? Loading times and sort of annoying things like
price. Games are getting too expensive.
I think it's price and paying for loot boxes and little add-ons like that.
Electronic Arts, man. What happened to them? Jesus.
I used to worship them.
They were. Yeah, we all did. And I still respect them for the old stuff, like all of us do. Respect them for all the stuff that they did in the past.
But not what they've become.
Yeah, not what they've become. I mean, we've all just grown up with this thing that you paid at the time $80 for a game,
And that's it.
you got a few hours of entertainment out of that, and that was it. Okay, but no, you buy this game, but then you got to buy this to add on to that, and then
So it's kind of like Sonic and Knuckles, huh?
Yeah, but that's like one off, mate.
Yeah, it was, and that was
Just,
kind of clever how they
it's
did that.
just
They knew
great.
they couldn't get the whole game out in time, so they split it into two. And I just thought that was super intelligent how they did that.
Because Sonic 3 by itself is a big old game.
It's a game.
I mean,
It's a big game, yeah.
it's just, but they were just like, oh, here's the rest of it. Ooh, and Knuckles as well. But we Adrian's good friends with Trip Hawkins, aren't you, Aid? You had a good chat with him the other day, and he added you on Facebook as well, didn't he? Yeah, and
Besties.
yeah, we're just gonna keep
you know
name
what,
dropping.
though?
We're gonna keep name dropping all of these legends. And
Since our interview, Dylan, he's kind of come out of hiding. He's on Facebook all the time now. He's knocking about the 3DO sites. I think he's writing a book or something. I think one of the reasons he did an interview for us because he's getting back more into the public eye a bit. I think he's going to do. I think he's gone into documentaries and stuff now. So yeah, he's really interesting. Yeah, so we actually helped.
You asked him
get
about
the ball moving. I think
you asked him about current day EA, didn't you? And what did he say? Did he say kind of similar kind of thing, like it's just where it's going?
Yeah, he said he wasn't. He gave quite a nice corporate answer, but he literally said it's the way the world's going. He said, I don't think he really gave his real opinion necessarily, but he just said that's the way.
Is this the way the world is going, Todd? Toddy?
Yes, I'm back. Don't worry, I'm here. I haven't gone anywhere.
Is every game going to cost us $200 Australian? Is this how it's going to go?
Well, possibly, but I'm not sure if I'll be paying that much. But it depends on the game. I mean, really,
If it's Bubsy, it is.
right now, I'm mainly playing the Switch game, which is great because my son's right into Nintendo anyway. So he plays the PlayStation, right? For the Lego games, they're good for that. But honestly, apart from that, I'm really right into the Switch at the moment anyway. So if they go to that direction, I'm not sure how far I'm going to go with it myself. I will definitely buy a new console, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get right into like the new Sony or the new Xbox. I'm always going to be now probably a Nintendo fan for a long time. I'm more probably excited to see where Nintendo goes than Sony or Microsoft. I already see where they're going, but I'm not sure if I'm, ready for these season passes and like you said, the DLCs. I mean, at least with Nintendo games, for the most part, you get a pretty good package for the first time you buy a game. Smash Brothers obviously have a lot of DLC, but the actual core game's pretty good as it is. You don't really need the extended content if you don't really want it. You got a pretty good game to start off with. Do you just say no? Do you
just say no to DLC, or just like a DLC free zone in the top loader house?
Okay, so with DLC, if I really like a game, I'll go for it, man.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I will. But if it's just to buy a skin of something, like I'm not buying skins, right? I don't care about skins. If it's like an extra level for like some of these indie games, yeah, sure. The Messenger actually gave us free levels after the game. If you beat the game, it'll give you actual free levels after that. You go to a beach or something with the Messenger. I don't know if you know any game. It's like a Shinobi. It's more like it's like a Ninja 8-bit game. And once you beat the game, they actually made more levels. But when you beat it, you can play the levels they made for that for free, which I thought was great. But I would have probably paid for it, but I'm not going to pay for skins or anything like that. But I will pay for levels.
It's funny you said it because Rocket League I was playing it today for the first time in a while, hence the shirt. And they're scrolling across that they're going to be going free to play. So the only thing you can buy is skins. So the very thing that you're against.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be buying them then.
Because it's worth playing just by itself. You don't have to buy anything. I will buy into it because I like the little,
people buy it, that's fine. If people like
the
it, that's cool.
standout,
Yeah, if they like it. But my son, if he wants to buy something, okay, sure. But I'm personally not going to go buy it.
Is it because the Rocket League guys have already made their money and they just want to give?
I think
people...
that's it. And they're owned by Epic. They probably realise that if they go free to play, more people will come in and throw money at them. Whereas if they got that $30 entry fee, they're probably not going to get as many people come through the door. So
yeah.
Yeah, they've bunged it on Game Pass
Yeah,
as well. I haven't mentioned Microsoft Game Pass in this podcast, Adrian. But yeah.
Arcade that bingo done.
He beat that with like a dead horse, does he?
Are you ready?
I'm a fan of this. Actually, like we talk about DLC and things. I think one thing that's kind of again made me get an Xbox One the other day was because of the Game Pass thing. So this kind of subscription where you pay X amount a month and you get all of these games, and then when you obviously they go off there, so they tell you, oh, this is going to leave soon, so you're like, try and complete it. But is that model? Is it better in a way? Is that going to save gamers money? We'll go to Tim. Do you think that's going to save gamers money? Does that float your boat? There's this Stadia thing. Is that what's in the back of your mind? Can you even have Stadia in Australia? Don't know if you can actually. Can you?
No, it's not available.
I don't know. I'm sort of mixed on DLCs. It all depends what your gaming habits are. For me, I don't have any appeal for it because I clearly don't have the time, so I wouldn't really be justifying myself to go out and pay for them. Like for myself, the last new console I ever bought was a Wii. Because I know for a fact that yeah, because I know that if I went out and spent $500 for a PS5, I'd never get to play the bloody thing. See, the sort of gaming I like is I go in, I shoot, I kill, I get killed, I'm out. That's the sort of appeal that I have. And I think, look, honestly, I think it will get to a point where people will say enough is enough. People are not going to say, all right, we don't want to pay anything anymore. But there has to be a limit as to what people are willing to pay. And I think the most that anyone paid for a game with a Mega Drive, what was it? Was VR?
Virtual Racing.
What was
I
that?
paid $160 for that.
Yeah, that was 70 quid. Yeah, over here. Yeah, same.
Yeah. And Aladdin was like $129.
What?
On release.
Which I only just got the other day for the first time.
No, really? Yeah. So I think there will be a point where people will say enough is enough. They'll say, okay, I'm happy to pay, but now you're starting to get too greedy. We're happy that it's all a multi-billion-dollar industry, but people pay for things they expect good value from what they get from that. And we've seen mistakes in the past where you expect the game to be right to go from the outset, and I think it was Fallout. Was it Fallout?
76.
76.
Yeah, where there were lots of issues with it and that. So these AAA companies have to really start
pull their head in.
Yeah, pull their head. And if you are going to charge a hell of a lot of money, make sure the product is right before you release it. You have to. That's just how I feel about DLC.
It's a money grab, isn't it? I think a lot of them, do really worry about their cash flows, and they do this early. It's not the same as early access. Just some people just release broken crap, and then go, "Oh, we'll patch it up later. We'll send you a 50 gig patch. It'll be fine. Don't worry."
And I hate that mentality of it. I hate that. Oh, we'll just patch it later. That really bugs me. I guess some
Bugs
games
you.
could need
Pun
a
intended,
patch.
bud. Pun intended.
Back in the day, I guess some games could have needed a patch, but for the most part, I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Without it.
The Spacies, you wouldn't go for this kind of subscription model if Stadia was possible in Australia. Say if you guys managed to sort out your broadband issues or whatever. Do you think it's a viable thing going forward?
I think Google's the wrong company for it because they're not a gaming company.
No.
That's my thing against Stadia. Same as Apple Arcade or whatever they've got.
If Sony did
well, that's what I was just getting at. Any company that comes along and they're just like, oh, look, there's money in this gaming stuff. Let's just try and grab some of that money. It's a cash grab. Although, Sony did first come in that way with the PlayStation, but they proved themselves over the years, so they've gained the respect of gamers. over the years. I think this what's that one with Xbox called over the cloud, the new one that they're trialing, where you can actually play any game as long as you got an Xbox controller. You can just play it on any phone, a mobile phone. That looks awesome. I'm really interested in getting in on that. The xCloud. That's just like, sorry, Stadia, great idea and everything, but why don't you just leave it to the big boys? And so they're doing Stadia properly. They're doing a service that if you've got all the games on Xbox Live, you can just play it anywhere on the fly. And that to me is, I can see it going to that way as a future of gaming. Yeah. Which is kind of sad because
you think it's going to take over. Yes, you think it's going to take over the kind of physical media stuff?
Oh, definitely. Physical media, unless you are buying something like a memorabilia statue or something to go alongside a game, physical media is going to be dead. And I hate to say that, it kills me, but I see people putting out tweets now, who buys physical media anymore? Like, it's already happened. I do. I'm sorry. I'm that poor smuck that wants to do midnight launch and buy it on midnight launch.
It makes it more fun though, doesn't it? When you can do that when you go to a launch, it does makes it more fun. It's got a good atmosphere with it. You're going to lose that with digital, aren't you? You just got.
Could you imagine if you're a gamer starting out now, 15-year-old, his first console's an Xbox X Series or PlayStation 5, whatever, and he refuses to buy any physical games, so he won't have this massive collection of games when by the time he gets to 40 odd, right? Then when Sony or whoever the master gaming will be at that time decide, you know what, we're going to pull the server and all those games are no longer available.
They're all going to be gone, aren't they?
All these games are going to be gone in a puff of smoke. It's an interesting future we're heading into.
It happened with the Wii thing, didn't it? What was it?
Yeah. The Wii store. And the Wii and Wii U would be only around the corner before that's going to be, given a silent death.
Imagine spending hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds and stuff on there, and poof, gone.
Well, on the Wii, I remember on the Wii, you could upload it to your Wii U, but you can't go from your Wii U obviously to your Switch, so that's where you lost them. You didn't lose them from the Wii
store itself is gone. It's dead.
I know that. But when you download them to your thing, you could actually take them onto your Wii U. There's a way to do it. I did it on mine, but you can't obviously because it's different. You can't do it to your Switch because if they don't have a similar setup. But for that generation, you could. You could do it for that one generation, but you couldn't do it for the Switch.
Why does Nintendo make that so hard? Like, there's plenty of stories you can see on the internet where you can buy Super Mario Brothers, the very first NES game, 1985, right? Or the first Super Mario Brothers. You can't just then carry it over from console. You got to keep buying it. You got to keep buying it. If you want it on the new console, you got to buy that version of it. There's another $5.
They do have the Nintendo Online now, but you pay one subscription.
Yeah, but you don't own it.
I know you don't own it. I do own it. I actually do own it. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, but you don't have to actually buy. At least you don't have to buy the individual games at this point in time. All these games on the Nintendo Online store I already own anyway, so it doesn't really affect me that much. But for what it is, it's okay. At the moment, for the Nintendo one.
There's SNES games, and everyone's going to be happier because next year N64 games might be going onto it as well. They're the rumours.
Yeah.
Nice blurry N64 games are coming.
And you can play 2-player with your friends overseas with those old games.
We can just you can just be odd job and just annoy them on GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
That's basically what it's there for, isn't it? Let's just get GoldenEye on, get it. People playing it around the world.
Well, can they? That's another thing. Rights. Can they get GoldenEye? Because
I
of
know
the licensing rubbish.
The Bond thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the other thing is the emulation going to be good because the Wii U emulation for Nintendo 64, it was muddy, it was dark, it was really hard to see. I mean, I played because I've got Super Mario Bros. 64, but I've never really played it properly. And I wanted to play it on the Wii U using the Virtual Console, and it was just hard to get into because of how rubbish it looked. And if you go back to the original Nintendo 64, it's not a machine that has held up really well when it comes to how it displays on a modern TV or even a cathode ray TV. So I don't know. Maybe all the rumors that are flying around that will come true, that they're going to re-release an HD remix of Mario 64.
Are you a fan of these? Are you a fan of these remasters, Spacies?
Yes, because it brings those games to a new generation. As long as they bring something.
What about
new
something
to
like
those games,
what about something like Shadow of the Colossus? That's pretty much the same thing on 3 generations of console. What about that?
Yeah, maybe not. He's not that one. But there are people out there that like the vast emptiness of that game. I don't know.
I've just started playing on the PS2. Actually, it's an interesting game.
There was an Adam Sandler movie based on that game. I
I've
can't
seen
remember
it.
what. It's like one of the main plots. It's one of the main plot points.
Rain on Fire or something.
He's comparing his own emotional and psychological struggles with that game. He relates to the character, and it's like one of the main points of the movie is playing that game. It's kind of strange.
One of the few movies, there are a few to be fair, where he actually acts, and he can act.
He can act. He just chooses not to.
Yeah. He can. Uncut Gems is a good film. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he's a good actor when he wants to be. I always defend him in that case.
Next up on the Adam Sandler podcast.
Yeah.
Tim, are you a big fan of remasters? Do you think they've got a place? Do you think they're not just a cash grab?
I'm similar like Brian. I think they're good to bring in a new generation of players to games that we loved. But it just seems like to me when I always hope that there be a proper remaster of Shinobi. It never comes about. It never comes about. But I'm thinking Alex Kidd. I could have picked a better game than that, other than Alex Kidd. But no, it's good. It's good that it keeps the younger generation connected with the older generation with what they used to play beforehand. And, Dad would be saying to his son, "Oh, I used to play this when I was your age." So like that connection there. Yeah, I'm all for them. I'm all for them. Yeah.
Todd, are you a fan of remasters? Do you prefer a remake?
I actually do like remasters. Actually, when they announced maybe as the Mario coming out, I did get excited for that. But I will say that I have the Another World remaster. It's more of a remaster because you can play the original version and you can play like the nicer graphics. And guess what I always go to when I play that game?
The old one.
The goddamn DOS graphics. I still play the DOS because it just brings back the nostalgia of playing through the DOS version of Another World. But I still do click back and forth. Like Wonder Boy 3, you can click back and forth with the 8-bit graphics and the new graphics. And I'm even with the music, you can actually change it back and forth. And I'm constantly like, I'll do one level with the 8-bit and another level with the new one. So I kind of do mix it up a bit. So I do like it when it's like that. So for that reason alone, we can, as long as you can choose to go back to the old way as well, I think is a good thing to have in those games. Like Wonder Boy and Flashback's the same, and Another World, because I got them on the Switch, and you can just go back and forth with what you want to play at any given time.
I mean, Flashback is a bit of an example as to how a remake can go very wrong. I don't know if you guys have played you've played the one that they released on Xbox Live Arcade a few years ago.
I've got the one that's on the Switch, so I'm not sure which one.
No, that's just the direct port. Yeah, that's just the direct port. So when other companies try and do their interpretations of old games, it sometimes doesn't go well. Going back to the flick between the modes thing, something that really bugs me and Adrian is the Monkey Island remaster, doesn't it? Do you guys catch this?
I like the voice
acting.
Finished
it, yeah.
I think the voice acting is done quite well in the remastered version, but I always went back to the old graphics.
The new graphics just... It's not Monkey Island.
It lost some of the charm. I like the gritty, pixely artwork. I think it's brilliant.
Well, let me ask you, did you like the Streets of Rage 4 graphics over the Streets of Rage 2 graphics? And that's not, it's like a new addition to the game, but something that they did differently.
That's a good question. I quite like the look of Streets of Rage 4. I don't think it all kind of fits as well as the old Streets of Rage games. But I prefer the pixel art.
I wish they had, because they have actual bonus levels that are very short. We can fight the bosses in pixel mode. And I thought to myself, why couldn't they have a mode like Wonder Boy where they made the whole section of it retro? Why couldn't they do that? I can't understand. They did it with Wonder Boy 3. Why can't they do it with that?
There's also Battletoads coming out soon, a new sequel
no.
to Battletoads. And have you seen the art style? It kind of goes along with cartoons getting remade. I'm sorry, but the Thundercats remake just made me lose my lunch. I can't stand that art style, and I don't know if that's just me being old man or
the Battletoads thing does not look good, mate. No,
it doesn't. I don't like that art style.
No.
It just doesn't. I know they got to create an art style because it was restricted before because of console limitations. Now there's no limitations. Make what you want.
You can have the toads.
We're going to make
you can flip and have.
But now they make the toads look rubbish and with these extreme angles, zigzags and stuff. I don't know why they go down that path.
Don't worry, it looks.
We have to wait to see the game, but from the short clips that I've seen so far, I'm not overly excited for it.
On next week's show, we're talking to the people that are making Battletoads, and we're looking forward to it.
Oh, dude.
No, we're not really.
We're just winding you up, mate.
I'm not happy with what I've seen so far. That's my. But maybe they can impress me and surprise me.
When I first saw Streets of Rage 4, I wasn't that impressed. I wrote not a scathing article.
I was skeptic. Yeah,
massive skeptic, and I think the first couple of levels, if you just play them as Axel. What is this? And they really bring out the big guns later, and you just make it like Sonic 2 is famous for rejigging the levels because the chemical plant zone was meant to come in later, right? And then they moved it to like the second level or something. Why didn't they do that with Streets of Rage 4? Why didn't they bring one of the better? I'm looking at you, Todd. I know you play Streets of Rage 4. And why didn't they bring why didn't they? I know they like traipsing around the town, but they could have like rejigged it and brought in some of those bigger set pieces earlier in the game. I think that might have got people more interested, mightn't it?
Yeah, because they were a bit later in the game, weren't they? It was a bit off balance. I found that like some levels were longer and shorter than it as well. It was throwing me off a bit too, and I thought that actually the last boss went forever. I actually like it. I did like the last boss. I just thought it went way too long.
Yeah. With
the twins, they kept evolving. I mean, it was a good challenge, but I just thought it was just a little bit too long, just a little bit.
Yeah. But then Streets of Rage 4, did it have to, were we yearning for it after Streets of Rage 3? After the crock of poop was Streets of Rage 3?
The Streets of Rage 3, but I definitely was yearning for a Streets of Rage game.
I was, because Sega don't really treat their IPs very well. They have not nurtured their IPs and they have failed to respect their past and honor it. Like, I put out a tweet just a little while back about imagine having an IP such as Golden Axe and not having a decent sequel to it in over 2 decades. And I would love a Golden Axe, a new one with a movie intro. Man, imagine how sick that would be if you could
be brutal. Man.
I wouldn't want real life actors. I would like a cartoon style done in that Golden Axe 1 style, but with the music maybe of Golden Axe 2 rejigged for modern day. Man, just seeing a new Death Adder would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'd play that.
Tim, would you said Shinobi earlier? Would Shinobi be your kind of Sega pick to bring to hurl into the current gen?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
it's freaking ninjas. Man.
Which is your favorite Shinobi game? I've played all of them, obviously, but which is the best one? Well, we could talk about this all day as well. But
I'm always OG. I always loved the original Shinobi.
Oh,
I had the arcade. I used to have the arcade machine. I used to own the arcade machine of Shinobi. That was in my bedroom when I was like 17 or 18 years old, and that was my money box.
Yeah, money box.
So
okay,
yeah. So I know that's a bit of flex, but it's just funny you mentioned Shinobi, and I thought I'd just let you know that. But I actually like Revenge of Shinobi.
That's my favourite. Yeah, Revenge is my favourite.
Revenge, okay.
I mean, people are like, Shinobi 3.
I usually like to.
Shinobi 3 is the best Shinobi. I will say. Not the first Revenge of Shinobi what you're talking about, the third one I like the most. personally. But yeah,
The third one's got horses, Todd. It's great.
that's something that's different though. It's something that changes it up a bit.
I
You
know a lot of people love Shinobi 3, but to me, it kind of felt like it jumped the shark a bit.
You can't. He's getting doing all that walking. He needs a rest here and there, so he can get his energy back to fight some more.
That doesn't look very restful on that horse, mate. Like, you have to actually kind of go for it a bit, you know.
It's only a short level anyway, right?
Shinobi 3.
I would say with
Go on.
I would say with Streets of Rage 3, I would say that they needed to bring out Streets of Rage 4 because of how bad Streets of Rage 3 actually was.
Mm-hmm.
I know Rob loved it, but I can't see how anybody liked that game at all. I mean, the difficulty was just too hard. And the actual bare knuckle version was easier. And I will say to Rob that the magazine that reviewed it, that said it was an easy game, they were reviewing the actual bare knuckle version of the game and not the US version of the game, which is why it was easier and which is why they actually upped the ante of the level of how hard it should be for the US version after playing the bare knuckle version after it was reviewed too easy.
Yeah. But they should have just left it like that. We didn't mind Streets of Rage 2 being that, that easy. Come on, just...
That was its main thing. It was its difficulty, because it looked alright, but I know it didn't, some people don't like the look of it. I didn't mind it, but I just thought the difficulty with the US version was they're just blocking too much halfway through the game. It started off okay, but then everyone just started blocking. You couldn't go anywhere. It was just like so monotonous.
Yeah. You can, on the Mega Drive collection thing that's on Switch or PS4 or whatever, you can actually switch to the Japanese version. There you go. People don't know that. So you can actually... I was quite enjoying Streets of Rage 3 the other day. Don't tell Rob. He's probably listening to this right now, but don't tell Rob. I'm quite enjoying it. And actually kind of...
Let's not tell Rob anything.
No, shh. He does not know about this. He knows what we're doing this week. He does not know about this. But yeah, so, the remake thing, let's go back to that quickly. Have any of you guys played Resident Evil 2 remake?
Like Adrian in this camp, where I've only played the fourth one really, because that's the only one I would like. I don't like the first three because I don't like the tank controls. I know, Dylan, you love the tank controls,
love tank
mate.
Controls, dude.
But I just can't stand the tank controls.
Two's the Jill sandwich one, isn't it?
It's
the Jill sandwich game. Oh, yeah, okay.
But
they call it the zapping system. Yeah.
I like 4 because it was more action packed, and I know it's supposed to be about survival horror, but I don't really like survival horror. But I like Resident Evil 4 because it felt like you could actually get more ammo with the game, and when you finish the game, you could obviously keep all your ammo, go back through the game, and just keep building up what you already got. I'm not sure if you can actually do that in the original Resident Evils, but I know you can do it in 4. So let me know if you can do it in the first one. So it might actually make it a bit easier for me playing that one. So you can't? No. But you can? You
get all those weird other extra like game modes, and you might get an extra gun or something, but that's it. That's it. You don't get to keep everything and keep looping through. No. But tank controls, man, come on. Wasn't that one of the best things about like the PlayStation when you guys first got your hands on a PlayStation, right? Like
that's why I brought up the analog stick.
All of these like pre-rendered backgrounds, and you have to like, oh, they're facing that way. Oh, better press up. Oh, go that way. Oh, rotate them that way. Didn't you like that, Spacies? Didn't you like a bit of tank controls?
I'm not a fan of tank controls. Nah, it's I don't actually understand why PlayStation had to. I don't know the history of how the controller came to be. The original controller looks like a Super Nintendo controller, but let's just change it a little bit to make people not accuse us of just.
Well, yeah, because it was going to be a Nintendo thing, wasn't it? So
yeah. So you could see it has a Nintendo Genesis. See what I did there. But I don't understand why they couldn't come out with the analog controller just to begin with. Like, would it have been that hard at the time? I guess it was. I don't know, because the DualShock was like such a good controller when that came out. I was just so in love with that controller.
It was got to be more than a year after the release of the PlayStation. The DualShock
was
came out, right?
A year and a half or 2 years, I think it was when it came out.
They must have still
and then
been
developing. And the game that really shined with that controller for me was Gran Turismo. If you move over to the right and off the road, the right side of your controller would shake, and it was just done so well for that time.
Yeah, because we didn't like racing games. Back when we were growing up, you'd nudge. You wouldn't nudge, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't have the steering wheel at home. Like you wouldn't have like an outrun kind of steering wheel at home. You just like nudge this, nudge that, da da da. When the dual shock came in, that was massive, wasn't it? A bit more, a bit more subtlety in your turn.
I will say that
you have to reach for this controller.
Go on then. Spacey's going to reach for it. Spacey's going to reach for that while he's doing
the nudge controls work very well for F-Zero.
Oh well, that's the that's the Namco special thing, isn't it?
The Negcon.
Oh yeah. Okay, and you twist it.
Which was actually it just got mentioned in a GameSack video, and his one is a black controller, which I've never seen before, but it's the same controller. And this is one of those you either hate it or
twist it,
you love it.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah. No, I love this thing. I just
does that
can't get
work?
enough of
Does that work
using
with Ridge Racer and stuff? Is it quite like nice?
Yes, but I tried getting it to work on the PlayStation Classic with an adapter to plug the old style controllers into it, and it just won't pick it up. It doesn't detect it.
Damn.
It
Sucks.
I wanted to use that on the HDMI screen.
that does suck. There's only a couple more topics of conversation, boys. I've kept you for almost 2 hours here, but there's a couple of things we have to ask you. We're Arcade Attack. Todd knows what's coming. Atari Jaguar.
Oh, yeah.
Todd. Experiences, opinions. Top loader, lead the way.
Okay. With the Atari Jaguar, the only time I actually heard anybody talk about it is with actually Adrian. That's where I've learnt the most about the Atari Jaguar, because I'm not even sure if that was released in Australia. I heard about it at the time, and I thought to myself, there is no way that is 64-bit. And I'm sorry, but 232-bit thing does not count as 64-bit. And I can. So with the Atari Jaguar, all my information actually comes from Adrian, and I say, if I ever go to England, if I ever do go to where you guys live, I will have to pick up and play it with you guys, because I have no idea why he likes it so much.
It's like Marmite here.
It's like Marmite, your Vegemite, yeah. Tim, Spacies, either of you guys come across the Jaguar? Ever tempted?
I have.
Oh, you go first.
I was at Ubisoft event, Ubisoft experience 2 years back, I think it was, and they had a retro corner with a Rubik's Cube and an A-Team poster up on the wall and all those 80s stuff. I don't know why a Jaguar was sitting in there, because that was 90s, but anyway. And I played it, and that was the first time I got to hold the Jaguar controller. It's like, I don't know, it's like as if an Atari 2600 mated with a Intellivision, and you'd get that.
And a calculator.
And a pocket calculator thrown in. Why so many buttons? Why do you need 10 buttons for?
It's weird.
Adrian, tell him. Adrian.
Could you
Fully
imagine?
inlaid.
Could you imagine there was Street Fighter? Was there a Street Fighter 2 on that machine?
No,
I don't think there was. Could you imagine
no.
10 different ways to beat the 7 shades of crap out of someone? I just don't understand why you need 10 buttons on a cartridge. Did they have overlays for that?
Yeah,
they did too.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like about it, but that's where the Intellivision reference comes in, because the Intellivision had overlays, and that was about that machine. Hated that controller though on the Intellivision, and this thing's not much better than the Intellivision controller.
It's a funny controller.
I know there's a couple of hardcore Jaguar fans out there.
You're looking at one. There he is.
I don't get it. I'm sorry, I just don't get it.
It's I don't know. It's got a few great games in it. What game did you play? Do you remember?
Rayman.
Oh yeah, that's a
that's
good
not
version,
bad actually. That's a very good platformer.
It was too slow. It was shit. Sorry.
This podcast may contain strong language. Tim, what about you, mate? You're about to venture some Jaguar opine.
Sorry to disappoint, but no.
No,
I've never played it. I've seen pictures of it. Alex from Weird and Retro, he keeps on banging about his whole collection of.
It was his one that I played.
Oh, you freaking played it. See, I haven't played it, and I've seen pictures of it. Alex keeps on talking about, his whole collection and all this. I don't think he even has one because I've never seen it. And I've never seen anybody.
He loaned it to Ubisoft because there was a weird and retro sign next to it saying all consoles supplied by Weird and Retro.
Was that at PAX, was it?
Not at PAX, it was at Ubisoft Experience, which was showing off their new lot of games, etc., including a game which still hasn't seen the light of day. What's that one with the monkey and the Ubisoft big game that something and Evil?
Beyond Thingy Bob and Evil.
Beyond.
They had a secret screening showing the trailer for that, and that was like 2 years ago, and we still haven't seen the game.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys doing?
They could release it broken and then patch it later.
Oh, well, okay.
Why not?
But that's where I got to play mine, and it was his console, so I can confirm he does own one.
I think it's a conspiracy. I think he's just leading you on. Just say it when you speak to anyone else. Just say that you play the Jaguar. But in saying that, I can understand the admiration for it because it was basically the last thing that came from Atari. And this does not. We're not going to talk about the new VCS that's coming out. That's worth an arm and a leg. But yeah,
and something else.
I can understand, Adrian, your love for it because it was the last of them all. And whether the games are good or not, like I love the Master System. It doesn't mean that every bloody game has to be good on it, does it?
No.
There are some absolute
Laser Ghost,
Flintstone,
Transport.
Transport.
Yeah. That's
Same
actually
game,
an
2
arcade
levels.
port. It's an arcade port.
It is too.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I totally understand your love, Adrian, for said Jaguar.
No.
But I don't even believe that you have one either. Because I've never seen one in the flesh. I've never seen them.
I do. I'll show you bits connected up downstairs. So.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro.
You're showing me a PowerPoint presentation, won't you? You won't show me the actual thing.
Yeah. Right. It's an interesting machine.
Adrian loves it. I think we'll probably just leave that there, eh? Like, it's just.
Can I just ask you one thing about it? Do you have any cartridges for that thing where the cartridges actually light up? Was that a feature of the machine or no? Because I did see one at PAX on display, and the cartridge was lit up, and I was thinking, that's the first time I've ever seen that, where the cartridge is lit up by LEDs or something. So
that's a homebrew thing.
I just thought that was so cool.
I've seen transparent cartridges, so I'm assuming they got some lights.
That's
in
what
there,
it was.
Yeah.
Oh, Spacies. Do you not know about that guy that does the Mega Drive cartridges like that? We need to put you in touch, man. Oh, you need to start stocking up, man. There's a guy, you can only get him through Instagram, and he takes hacks. Like, there's the hack of Sonic 1, where someone's put the movie Sonic over it and the Jim Carrey Robotnik over it. He's basically put that on this beautiful blue transparent cartridge with LEDs in it. So you pop it on your Mega Drive and it lights up.
Oh, I gotta have that.
I'll hook you up.
So
I will hook you up with that. I've got a funny feeling you won't mind paying him the.
I have got though one cool hack cartridge, and that was sent in to me by Retro Kaiser. That's Super Mario Brothers on the Mega Drive.
That's weird, dude.
and it plays really well. It just sounds like ass. That's the only problem with it. But it plays really well.
All right, there you go. There's a nice hack. So, I've really enjoyed catching up with you. It's been nice to obviously have this cultural kind of exchange. We mithered a little bit because you've got your own slang, haven't you? You've got your kind of own slang. I know a little. Having lived in Melbourne for a little while, I know a little bit, but I think Toppers is going to lead the way. I think he's going to try and flummox us with some sayings, and we're going to try and. Adrian doesn't. I don't think Adrian knows about this. He's going to try and flummox us with some Aussie slang.
We have to decipher it, basically. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Tim's got one as well, so I'll read one.
Oh,
Maybe
Tim.
Tim's got one as well.
Yeah, go on then. Go on then.
Yeah.
Go on then.
I'll read one, and then he can read one. How about that?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Fair dinkum, you should have seen this drongo wearing his budgie smugglers this arvo.
All right, you have to break it down. Right, fair dinkum means fair enough,
Fair
right?
dinkum.
Fair enough.
It actually means
no,
two
it means,
things.
It means like, honestly, this is
Yeah,
great.
really.
This is
Okay.
100%
Or
legit.
seriously.
True.
Or
Legit.
seriously, yes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right, fair. Then what was the next thing you said?
Fair dinkum, you should have seen this bloody drongo wearing his budgie smugglers this arvo.
Drongo.
So Drongo.
like
a
a
drongo.
like a douchebag, like a
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
idiot.
An idiot.
I actually
idiot.
know a story about where the word drongo came from. It was a racehorse that was notoriously bad and kept coming last. So people that were really slow and not that fast, behind the 8 ball were known as a drongo.
Oh,
So, the last part of that was budgie smugglers. Do you know what budgie smugglers are?
they're speedos, aren't they?
They're like,
no, no.
Speedos, yeah.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, I know those.
Well, I guess he's got an advantage. He lived here for 6 months. I mean,
Sorry.
Come on, that's not
I'll
fair.
tell you what.
Only Adrian answers.
Adrian-
Only Adrian.
Adrian's gonna do Tim's now. I'll just shut up. Okay, go on then. Go on, Tim.
Okay. So, we're going to the Melbourne Cup. Now got to go out and buy myself a bag of fruit.
That seems obvious, but I'm sure it's
Yeah,
not.
you're going to go to a sporting event and going to buy a fruit cocktail.
No. No.
Oh.
So, sporting event, yes.
Yeah, Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
What's sporting event? What's a Melbourne Cup? What's a Melbourne
I
Cup?
know, but I'm not going to tell
Is it
Adrian.
Aussie football? Is it Aussie soccer?
No.
No.
Think
Melbourne Cup.
think
is
about
Melbourne
think
Cup.
about Spacey's
Shinobi
little
plays it.
story.
Ruggers. Is it rugby?
No.
No.
Give him a clue. Give him another
Melbourne
clue
has
again,
a holiday
Drongo.
for it.
They have a holiday for it in
The Nags.
Melbourne, and
Gonna
it
go and
actually
see the
stops the nation.
Australia likes their cricket.
Oh wait. Oh,
Right.
think. Hold on, mate. Think like. I'm trying to think of something similar here, like the Grand National.
Oh, okay. So yeah, horse racing. There you go. I got it
There you go.
eventually.
Doesn't everyone
given
get?
to you, right?
Doesn't everyone get absolutely
I'm
annihilated
I'm not.
as
No
well?
dongo. No dongo.
We got the first half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bag of fruit.
What's a bag of
Bag
fruit?
of fruit.
I
Gotta get a
don't know
bag of
that.
fruit.
It's not
So
like
if you go horse
sultanas.
racing, you probably want a few drinks. Is it like beers?
No. Nope.
Oh, bag of fruit.
Bag of fruit.
Is it like a rhyming thing, or is that just another weird abstract?
It
I'm
is.
thinking
It
I'm
is.
thinking it's rhyming slang, and I'm
rhymes
just trying to.
with
Yeah.
Same
Rhymes
Australian,
with-
and I have no idea what the hell he's talking about.
No,
Is it
I'm
like a
Australian
Melbourne
too.
thing?
I'm like
Spacies is always keeled over. You can't see him. He's like,
loot.
what is it, Tim? Put us out of our
Going
misery,
to the
buddy.
Melbourne Cup. Now got to get a bag of fruit. Got to get me a suit.
Oh, it's like a Cockney rhyme.
Ah.
That makes sense.
Because everyone's dressed up. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, then. Yeah, I should have got that. Okay.
I feel like a right dongo.
You're right, Dongo.
Drongo.
Oh, drongo. I can't even say the word right.
Oh,
Fair
aged
dinkum.
Dongo. Toppers, have you got any more?
Alright.
You got any more for us?
Hey, Cobber, gotta go see a man about a dog.
That sounds like something like we'd say. Go on, Adrian.
Might be close. What do you guys
Is it
say?
a job? You got to find a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to see
Yeah.
a gentleman about a certain job
Got to
vacancy.
see a man about a dog.
Is Cobber
Boom.
is Cobber a nice thing to call someone? It's not like a drongo, is it?
But no, I never heard
No.
anyone call anyone cobber unless they're just taking the
Cobber.
Mickey out of Australian slang.
Have you
Maybe.
heard it on
Maybe.
Neighbours? I mean,
Sides,
you know.
Chan.
job sites where I work, they say Cobber all the time. It must be like
But you're in
a
Queensland. You guys are different.
rough and tumble thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't work behind a desk. I work out rough and tumble. So maybe it's a difference there.
Nice, nice. Tim,
Cobber means mate, like a mate. or
Mate,
something.
yeah,
Or,
cobber.
hey, mate.
Right, Cobber. Nice. Tim, have you got any
It's
more?
a word I wish would come back in vogue.
Hey, Spaces, have you got one?
The only one I can think of is one of my mum used to say, don't forget to wash on the auroric farms.
Just under your
Armpits.
arms?
Yeah, under your arms.
I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad, is it? That's not bad, is it? Let's be honest.
That's PG rated.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. I love it. So we ask, you guys, all, toppers will know it especially, but we ask all of our interviewees, and it's not really an interview, but we have a signature question, don't we, Adrian? A signature question that we ask all of our interviewees. I'm quite curious to know what these guys are going to say. So why don't you ask?
Yeah.
Go round the table,
Well,
and why don't you ask them the question?
Imagine you could open a few cans of Foster's, because that's your favourite brew. And you could share a few cans of your favourite Foster's with any video game character in any game, and you can have a good night out with that particular character and have a good chin wag. Who would you choose and why?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, let's
I'll go
with
first.
Todd.
It's already an only question. I've heard it 1,000 times. Okay. So I actually kind of have two answers for this, right? I'm going to need someone to actually drink who can actually keep up with me, and someone that needs a drink. So firstly, who can keep up with me is Conkers, and
Yep.
secondly, who needs a drink is Bubsy. Because, let's face
Oh, Bubsy needs something
Let's
else,
do it
mate.
together, though. Would this be a separate meeting or would it be together? Because I reckon there'd be clashes.
we're all out together, mate. We're all there helping each other out.
Wow. Conkers and Bubsy. Wow, that would be a sight for sore eyes.
Oh my
Fucking
god.
top loader, you got to do yourself an evening.
Oh god.
That's a good
man.
answer. Good combo.
That's good answer. That's good answer. Tim.
3. I can think of 2. So one would be Jeffrey from Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
He looks like a right-on drinker.
He's an
He's
Aussie.
Aussie too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeffrey,
Yeah.
I reckon Toad, 'cause he doesn't get enough love.
Oh yeah. No, everyone forgets him.
Yeah. Everybody forgets him. So I think he deserves a bit of love, and I reckon I think it'd be funny to see him drunk.
Yeah.
Who would be the other one? I reckon Pac-Man.
Pac-Man would eat all your food,
devour
though.
loads.
He'd eat. Jom. Although he would chase those
Yeah,
ghosts
so-
away.
He needs to have something to go with those pretzels that he eats.
Yeah. Yum.
I guess he's going to have a beer. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
sounds like a
so
good
they're
night.
my 3.
Nice. Good 3. Oh, we're doing threes all around. Go on then, Spacies. Who's yours?
Tom Nook, because he'd be loaded.
Yeah.
So Tom Nook, he'd
He
be
wouldn't
able
buy
to
you a
put on
drink, though. He's tight ass.
No, I think
heard.
he'd put on a
I've
good
heard.
spread if he figured it would be something in it for him.
Yeah.
Kirby, because I just want to watch that guy down a stone.
Oh. He'd take the
And-
glass and everything like. Whoop.
And I'd get maybe Tails in with some fake ID because I want to get some dirt on Sonic.
Oh yeah.
I want to get him drunk and I want him to tell me some dirt on the blue man himself, or hedgehog himself.
Miles Power himself. Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
Did you see someone put out on Twitter a concept art for instead of it being Tails, they were trying to get a turtle to be Sonic's sidekick, and one of the key mechanics would have been that you could flip him on his back and ride the guy, like
Whoa.
like
Yeah, I thought about
like Breath of the Wild.
Hey.
Yeah, you
Shield
can just ride
style.
the field. Yeah. the
Yeah,
field
yeah.
stuff.
And I thought that was a really cool mechanic. I don't know how official that was or how far that
Should have got both.
That,
I should have got Tails and that guy in, and then he could have Sonic could have been picked up, dropped, and then slide.
there's no turtles in the Sonic universe that I can think of.
No.
So
Yes.
there's a hole there.
Nada. There's a definite hole there. Boys, fantastic. We've done 2 hours of this.
Yeah.
2 hours meandering
So
chat
just put over 2 hours.
about video games. Last chance for a plug. Tim, you're big on the old Twitter, aren't you? But you're not. Are you doing your own content at the minute, or what kind of stuff are you doing?
No, because I just don't have the time to do it at the moment. So, yeah, you'll find me on Twitter at Sega Master Tim.
Yeah.
Because that's what my name
Add
was. It's
Follow. Send him naughty DM. Do it. Spacey, tell us all about the Spacies shoe. Sorry, that was a really...
So, yeah, you got-
Spacies shoe. Sorry, there you go.
Guess what?
What?
Don't you know?
Ah!
It's the Sin Spacey show. Guess what? We've got a jingle and everything.
Jesus,
Yeah, so you'll find me on Twitter. I'm all active there at Sin Spacies. I'm on Twitch, Sin Spacies, Instagram. I'm on everything. So just, but my YouTube channels, I've got to get back into that because I kind of fell off the wagon there. Health just got me off that.
I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah. Heart attack's a good excuse, I think, for not putting out content.
Toppers, you haven't got that excuse. Your content.
Hey, mine take a lot longer.
Content gives you a heart attack.
Mine take a lot longer, okay?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, everyone catch us in Spacies. So, Toppers, you have a YouTube channel. Obviously, we mentioned it. When's the next vid coming out?
Well, you've been seeing parts of the actual one that's going to come out next, the PlayStation series. I'm going to compile all those together. I've got 2 left to put out on Twitter. I'm going to put them all onto YouTube as one big video. But I've actually been working on another video, a sealed items video I've been working on for a year, which is very insane. It's an insane video, and it's taken a lot of work. It's so good, but you just got to take my word for it. When it comes out, you'll see what I'm talking about if you do watch it. But my next video that is coming out will be my PlayStation 1, which you guys have been watching on Twitter anyway, but it'll be one big version of that put together. It's pretty good. Not to, give myself an ego or nothing, but, it is all right, and I like it. So I like what I'm putting out there, and I'm very proud of it. So, yeah.
Mate, we love it.
It should be.
We love everything you
They're
guys...
all three. Yeah, they're great people, aren't they, Dylan? And we really appreciate the.
There was a
support you
point.
give us.
I mean, when we spitballed this idea a few months ago, we were like, we like these guys. There's a theme between the three of them. Let's get them on. I've had a great time. I don't know if you guys are up for coming on again. Maybe there'll be a bit more structure next time. Yeah. It'd be great to chat to you guys again, listeners. I hope you loved it. Tweet us, email us, any thoughts, any concerns, any complaints. Send them this way.
Right to these guys. Complaints. I don't want to hear about it.
Say bye-bye, boys. Say
didn't
bye-bye.
understand a bloody word I was saying.
Since Spacies.